Let's go back to our top story now. The health sector, eNCA's Aldrin Sampear spoke to the Minister of Health after his media briefing a bit earlier on today.
Minister, it took you a while to admit that there is certainly a crisis. Even looking at the statement, a 6-page statement, it doesn't speak about a crisis. It speaks about burdens. It speaks about other issues and the systems not being adequate, but it doesn't speak about a crisis.
I'm not sure why you want me to use a crisis. I showed the burdens, long waiting times, problems of management. If you wanted the word crisis, it's okay. You can have it, but I'm not sure why it should be a sin that I didn't put the word crisis there. The issues I'm outlining there in these 6-page statements are problems. And if maybe it satisfies you that the word crisis should have appeared, I've got no problem with that.
But it certainly speaks to issues that are a major problem. And that's the reason that one would expect the minister to be using words such as crisis, and that's the reason that you have some of these interventions.
Well, as I'm saying, it's an issue of a choice of word. If the word crisis make you comfortable, so be it. But I was outlining the problems. For instance, I never used the word crisis when I was defining the problem of TB around the world, which is very big. There are people who describe it as a crisis of TB that is going to United Nations. I just said it is #1 killer of all infectious diseases in the country. If the way to explain that is crisis, I don't have anything about that against that. So if it makes you comfortable that the word crisis defines situations better, it's okay, better than what I've written here. For instance, if I say Africa has got 80% of the burden of disease, but only 3% of the total workforce of the world, that has been described as a crisis region by the World Organization already. I did not have to add that and say it's a crisis. It has already been declared so, that this is a crisis zone in terms of human resources. And it also affects South Africa. So yes, it's true that word crisis does describe many of the problems we're facing, and certainly the human resource one for the whole of sub-Saharan Africa has been described as a crisis by the World Health Organization. The issue of TB is a crisis, that's why it's going to United Nations. So is the burden of disease in our country, including high blood pressure, diabetes, etc. There are crises that we are faced with. And I'm sorry if not using the word seems to have been wrong to you.
Well, it's not that you have to apologize to me, but certainly to those who go to these various hospitals and find that the hospitals are not in the state that they're supposed to be, because when you start using a word such as crisis, it means that there must be consequences. And if you speak about the human resources failure and you say, if you look at the province of the Northwest, you say that it's self-inflicted, yet no one has been fired.
Well, you are aware that this matter is in the hands of cabinet, is in the hands of interministerial committee. As to whether they believe, and is in the hands of the Hawks and the SIU. As to whether somebody will be fired, I can't stand here and announce it in the press conference. What I know is that there are already some people who have to appear before DC. And only after they've appeared, I can stand up and say, they are going to be fired. But yes, there are going to be consequences. You can't have the SIU, the Treasury itself is investigating, the Hawks investigating. When the ministerial committee went there for 2 meetings, the Hawks and the SIU, their heads were there, represented, and showing that they are taking a lot of interest on what's happening there. So, some of the things, when I said, are self-inflicted, yes. Some of the things about corruption, self-inflicted through corruption, surely any person who will have found to be corrupted in Northwest must be charged. I will be very disappointed if we just go there and work, we come back. But the charges is not something that will be done by the Minister of Health.